All right, hey guys, what's up? This is Gold Sports, and I'm here with MLB Talk 123 again today. Today we got the second episode of the Birds and Bears. We're going to be breaking down some more baseball news today, so I'll let MLB Talk 123 take it away.
Yes, what's up, guys? Birds and Bears here again with the second episode and official debut of the series. Let's get to a long list of things we got to cover today. First, the St. Louis Cardinals. Over the last 10 games, we've gone 4-6. Not a very good record. We lose 3 out of 4 to the Mets for many problems and reasons there. I'm not going to get into that. We barely win the series to the Astros. We lose the first game 9-8, a very high-scoring game. Second game, we barely win 4-3. The third game, we blew them away. We look like our offense is black. We won 14-2 against the Astros. The next day, we're back into our offensive woes, losing 6-2 to the Indians. The next day, we win 2-0. A very good pitching performance from Kyle Loesch. He's going to need to step it up because we just heard some terrible news. Jaime Garcia will be out at least a month. This is a guy we signed a 4-year deal, a young, left-handed, very potential ace of the St. Louis Cardinals team, and he has been very back and forth this year, not very consistent. He's had some problems on the road. He's had some mental issues. It's been not a good season for Jaime Garcia overall, and so he will be out. He will join Chris Carpenter and the many others that are on the Cardinals DL. So the offensive woes continue, only scoring 2 runs there. Yesterday, we faced Ubaldo Jimenez. Joe Kelly, not the team's top prospect, not Shelby Miller, but Joe Kelly will get the spot start in covering of Jaime Garcia's injury. He goes 5 innings, gives up 1 run, a very promising start for Joe Kelly, who was projected to be a reliever at first, so exciting for him. The bullpen does great all the way up until Jason Mott blowing the save, allowing the 3-run homer to Jason Kipnis in the ninth. We lost 4-1. We're facing the White Sox tomorrow, 7:15 Eastern. Thank you for listening to the Cardinals recap of the weekend. Now let's go to the Cubs. Some exciting news. Gold Sports, take it away.
Huge news for the Chicago Cubs. Actually, they did win the bidding for Jorge Soler. They actually just ended up signing him to a contract too. They got him for 9 years, $30 million on a huge contract signing. It's going to be a big deal for the Cubs. Hopefully, in the next few years, he'll be a huge part of the organization. Hopefully, help turn this franchise around that has been struggling for a long time. I think this is huge news because the Cubs, ever since like the signing of guys like Soriano and things, have always been overpaying these guys who just haven't been producing. But now, hopefully, they've been bringing in some younger talent, guys like Castro, LaHair, Anthony Rizzo, now Jorge Soler. Hopefully, he'll be another top prospect for him. Hopefully, they can get him up to the majors before soon enough, and he'll start producing. And then, hopefully, at this upcoming trade deadline, we can trade away some of our veterans, get some more young pieces, and have a stacked farm system. And hopefully, our major league team will turn around before too long. 2-8 in our last 10 games, another below average week, 20-40 overall, 12.5 games back. Just same old Cubs baseball, but big news with the Jorge Soler signing.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go back to that. Not too much to talk about of the Cubs performance-wise. Not going to be in contention this year. But let's go back to the Jorge Soler. A huge deal there. I mean, how excited do you have to be? I think Theo Epstein has done a very good job and Jed Hoyer for many reasons. You see the Cubs, they're doing absolutely terrible. How do you excite the fan base, get some youth into the system, and hopefully for next year get some bigger, better picks? How do you do that? You get a Cuban up-and-coming outfielder who already is considered to be a top 50 prospect in the MLB on a 9-year deal. That's absolutely huge.
Oh yeah, huge news for the Cubs. I think it'll definitely make an impact on this franchise. It's good to see management finally stepping up and making some big deals. I think it's also a very good thing that we were able to outbid teams such as like the Yankees and the Dodgers, teams that have a ton of money. We have a ton of money too, but we've never been willing to spend it until now. We're finally getting some big players.
I mean, there's a lot of teams interested in this guy. Of late you see the Astros, I see the Indians, the Red Sox, the Yankees, even the Pirates and the Blue Jays, who always appear to be in on some guys. I mean, I remember last offseason, they were in on tons of different free agents, a lot of trade talk. They didn't get much done. It would have been pretty good and pretty huge for the Blue Jays organization. But, from the start, didn't you kind of get the feel that the Cubs were going to go all or nothing for this guy? They kind of seemed to be the front runner most of the time.
Oh yeah, I definitely thought it was either going to come down to them or the Yankees the whole time. They also got their fan base so hyped up about this guy. I think they had to go out and get him. If they didn't get him, it would have been a huge disappointment. But it
Oh,
would have just been. I mean, it just would have been another disappointment that this fan base really didn't need.
yeah, exactly. And looking at this outfield in the future, again, this is a top 50 prospect guy. This is a very good addition, especially with a 9-year deal worth $30 million. That's a pretty good deal. I'm not going to say it's a steal or anything because you got to throw in the money they spent to bid. And there was many teams that spent over $20 million to bid. So it's going to cost the Cubs some money, but I don't really see them losing on this deal. I mean, he's very he's kind of hit and miss, but I think that he will have a very successful major league career. This guy's only 20 years old, a lot of power. So, I mean, do you project this outfield the way that I see it as a Jorge Soler, an Albert Almora, and a Brett Jackson, or if Albert Almora is in center field, you're going to have to find a left fielder or right fielder depending on where Jorge Soler plays. I mean, this outfield looks extremely good for the future. You know, what guys are you looking to fill those spots in the outfield, or do you envision the outfield the same way that I kind of do for the future?
Yeah. A few years down the line, I definitely see it being pretty much the same. But hopefully, they have the outfield pretty much settled down. Hopefully, now they can get the pieces surrounding them to finally have a successful team and maybe take a run to championship before very long.
Yeah, I think it's a very good move for Epstein. I think it really excites the fan base, and I think it's going to help get that outfield depth and youth into the Cubs system because they got a pretty good infield combo of Darwin Barney and Starlin Castro, some young players there. You got to build around that. You got Rizzo. They need some pitching, but I think that they had a good draft, and this is a great, exciting signing. So let's move on from that here. Up next, I believe we have talking about the AL East. Someone on the last video wanted to talk about the AL East, and in specific, I believe the Blue Jays. So do you want to go first talking about the Blue Jays, or do you want me to discuss them at this point?
You can go for it first.
Okay. So the Blue Jays, I really do enjoy watching and kind of analyzing the Blue Jays. I don't know, there's something about the team I've always sort of liked, and I've always kind of rooted for them. You see this year in the AL East, it's been a completely different year than most were expecting. Baltimore Orioles were ahead in the AL East for much of the season. Now they've just fell below the Rays and now the Yankees by one game. You know, you can talk about the disappointments for the Yankees losing Pineda for the whole season after they traded for him. You can talk about the disappointments for the Rays. Matt Moore not really performing like the guy that they thought he was going to perform. Again, nothing to worry about for Matt Moore, though. This guy is unbelievable talent, and I think he will do fine. Let's get to Toronto, though. Only two above 500. A little surprising. You know, when I looked at the standings, like I thought this team has done better. You look at the last 10; they went 5-5. They're 16-12 at home, 15-17 on the road. Someone that is starting to heat up though is Colby Rasmus. He went 3 for 6 yesterday, had 3 RBIs. A few days ago, he had like 5 or 6 hits. I mean, he can make some plays in the outfield. Sometimes he's a little distracted. I don't even want to talk about him when he was in St. Louis because he was kind of a nutcase. You know, I don't want to be too negative on the guy, but he was extremely negative about the Cardinals. They couldn't get along with the management. His dad had problems with Tony La Russa, and you know he wouldn't let his son listen to the hitting coach, and his dad wanted him to listen to himself. So I think it was great for Colby Rasmus to get into a younger, more youthful environment in Toronto. Tony La Russa, obviously a very strict environment there. Just a completely different environment than up in Toronto. So I think with Colby Rasmus in that 2 hole, if he can start hitting, his average is almost up to 250. You know, if he continues this, his team is going to be very good. Also, Jose Bautista has had somewhat of a down season on the average wise, but power wise, he's been just up there like he has. He's still going to have a very solid year. Someone to watch out for. We'll watch you talk about him maybe later in the surprise segment about those surprise players. Someone like Edwin Encarnacion has supplied a lot of great offense, a lot of power for this team, but we'll probably end up talking about him later. So Toronto, I would like to say that they're ahead in the East and they're gonna beat the Rays, but it's not gonna happen. They're not gonna beat the Rays, and I don't want to say that as a pessimist, but I'm just saying that I would be extremely surprised if I'm wrong with that prediction. I just don't see them beating the Rays. I think that they could easily get third place in the division. It's going to be close with Boston when they actually start playing to their potential, but no, I mean, Boston is one of those disappointments. Boston, Philadelphia, they've been kind of slipping, and especially Philadelphia, but that's a whole other story. So in the AL East, I expect the Rays to win. I expect the Yankees to be very close, maybe win the wild card most likely. and Toronto will probably get third place. So I'm sorry I couldn't predict them getting first, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I definitely think Toronto is a solid team. I definitely think they'll stick around all year. I think they'll be close. They'll be definitely above 500 team. Guys like Brandon Morrow, if he keeps pitching the way he has been, Toronto will definitely be there. I don't know if they'll be able to take the division in the end, but I definitely think they'll have a chance at it in September. They'll try to make a nice run. But yeah, again, I don't think it's going to happen. Probably third or fourth is what I see them. I don't know what's going to happen between Boston, Toronto, and Baltimore. I think they're all fairly close. But yeah, I think the Yankees and Rays are definitely two best teams in this division, and I think it'll be a good race watching them go down to the end. But definitely, I don't see any way they couldn't. Yeah, Jose Bautista not having as good a year as some of us expected. Still a nice year, and picking up some of the slack from Bautista. Obviously, Edwin Encarnacion, power numbers up, leading the team in almost every offensive category, having a great season. But I think the Jays are just going to come up a little short in the end.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is another solid year for the Blue Jays. A good year for the fans. Our GM has pulled some really good moves in the past with Escobar, Colby Rasmus, and I think those additions will pay off. But I don't think this is a year. The Rays just look too good really, and I personally do like the Rays a lot in the AL East. Not a big fan of the Yankees, obviously. So any team other than the Yankees and the Red Sox, I'm okay with in the East. I don't really care either way, but if I were to choose, I would say the Rays will probably win. I like the youth in the team. I like that they have a small payroll and still win. So for the AL East, the Blue Jays will definitely hang in there, but I think Tampa Bay will probably end up winning. Going into some other MLB news, this last few days, James Shields, I say, has been one of those kind of disappointing guys for the Rays. Yes, he got a seventh win yesterday on, if you're going to pace that, definitely going to have a good year, but his ERA is above 4. He was a complete ace for them last year, so a little disappointing. I would say, though, Matt Joyce showing him that last year was not a fluke, and they did do the right thing, developing this kid and believing him. He's hit 11 home runs. I mean, he's having a very solid year. Another big news from yesterday, the Yankees sweep the Mets. Russell Martin hit 2 home runs yesterday, including a walk-off home run. Again, Tampa Bay also swept Miami. The Baltimore Orioles have kind of been slipping of late here. They've fallen back. Not really expecting this team to go all the way and win the division, but I really do hope they do stay above 500 and have a promising year. And again, Colby Rasmus had a big day yesterday. 3 RBIs, went 3 for 6, including a home run. Those are my MLB news, and now Gold Sports. If you guys have anything to add on to that.
Yeah, another still disappointing season for the Red Sox. They got swept by the Nats. Maybe little questions about whether Bobby Valentine is good enough to be managing that team, and maybe there'll be a change there. Roldis Chapman got a little roughed up in the Tigers game yesterday, giving up two earned runs, 3 runs overall, and got another blown save. Trumbo hits two more home runs in a win against the Rockies. He's been having a very good season, along with a lot of those Angel hitters.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's huge that Trumbo and Trout are there because without Trumbo and Trout, this team would be nowhere. I mean, Pujols is slowly starting to pick it up. I see he has 9 home runs now. I mean, I thought he only had like 3 or 4, but that's kind of a pleasant surprise to see him doing somewhat well there. But yeah, I saw Chapman. He has not really struggled this year at all, and he gives up a few runs there. So definitely disappointing there. All right, so we get to a very exciting. I'm excited about this personally. We have come up with a few players that we feel are the most surprising players in a positive way. Well, maybe we'll do a negative way in the next episode, but these are the 3 or 4. I picked out 4. I might just say 3 depending on his. I'm going to let you go first, Gold Sports. 3 most surprising players that you have found performance-wise this year so far in the MLB.
All right. So my 3 guys. Number 1, as a Cubs fan, I have to go Brian LaHair. Batting 310, 12 home runs, been one of the few bright spots for the Chicago Cubs, having a nice year. Only has 25 RBIs, but that's because the Cubs don't score a lot of runs, and he doesn't have a lot of RBI chances, but he's still having a very nice year.
Yeah.
Next, I'm going to go with Dexter Fowler. He's actually been pretty decent his first few years in the majors, but definitely big jumps in pretty much all his offensive categories this year. His batting average is about 20 points higher than usual. He already has more home runs than he's had in any season ever. Still a triple machine, gets triples all the time, doubles in that big Colorado park. His power numbers are all up. He's having a great season for Colorado.
I
And
agree.
finally, I'm gonna have to go with Aroldis Chapman. Obviously, I mean, we knew this guy would be good. I don't think anybody thought he'd be this good this fast. 0.87 ERA, 6 saves, a 4-2 win-loss record. But I mean, that's not really telling of how good he's been. 4 runs, 3 earned runs, and 31 innings pitched. 55 strikeouts and only 31 innings. Just crazy numbers. And those are my three guys.
All right, I got a few guys here. It's really hard. I thought of five really good candidates. I'm gonna try to get it to three, but I might say to five. Number one, I gotta say it's gonna be um, I'm gonna say R.A. Dickey, and I'll tell you why. He's 9-1. He's in the top five for a lot of different statistics for pitches. And why would I even mention this? If the Mets would not have got swept by the Yankees, they would be up there for the division lead. I mean, the Mets are in third place right now. They're a few games back, but they're above 500. They're doing a lot better than a lot of experts and a lot of people around baseball thought they ever would. I think the Mets, with David Wright being healthy, they have been a very pleasant surprise to see them do well. Miami's done pretty well. The Washington Nationals have done fantastic, and the Phillies have absolutely sucked this year for their standards. Someone else I'm going to have to mention is yet another pitcher, Lance Lynn. I knew this guy was going to be good, but as a Cardinal fan, I didn't even expect him to be this good. He's 9-2, and without Carpenter and Garcia now in that rotation, it's absolutely huge. He fills Chris Carpenter's spot in the rotation when we find out he's hurt. That's a huge thing to fill, and he's went 9-2. He's performed absolutely fantastic. His ERA is very solid, right around 2.5. He's performed very well, and to win 9 games, it shows you that offense is behind you. All the Cardinals really have needed this whole year is really good pitching, and we can win. Another candidate here, Edwin Encarnacion. We mentioned him early. I have to talk about him. He hit 17 home runs in 2011. In 2012, we're not even at the halfway mark. He already has 17 home runs. This guy's probably going to hit 35 home runs, even if he slows down. He already has 44 RBIs. Expect him to get to 80 or 90, maybe even 100 RBIs there. He's batting 290. And the reason why it's so important is because Jose Bautista is batting 230, and his numbers are down a little bit. And Colby Rasmus was struggling for a long portion of the season. So to see his numbers be that high is absolutely huge for the Blue Jays. And I just have to pick out one more guy because this is kind of just someone that not too many people I don't think know about, but I got to pick him out here. Alejandro Diaza for the White Sox. I went with a kind of a different one there. 13 stolen bases, and he's batting 307. Now, why is this so important? Well, they trade Carlos Quinton, and they bring in a guy that I didn't even know existed. And I look at him, and he's extremely fast. He has 13 over 300. And now the White Sox lead the division. Their right fielder, absolutely a ton of power, young guy. So the White Sox have some good young talent. I see them pick Courtney Hawkins in the draft, so I gotta go with that. I know I went one over, but I think he is a very surprising, positive player. All right. So that was Birds and Bears, another